up through.
All right, hold on. Everybody, welcome back to a new episode of Field to Food. We're gonna run back into what we were just talking about, but I would love to give you guys the intro first so we can actually get a good recording because we've had some great conversations and not all of it will be making it into the air. So we're gonna run through our new platform here. This episode is going to be sponsoring, or I guess not sponsoring, but highlighting Ohio DNR's donate to wildlife conservation, keeping public lands accessible and healthy, and they actually do a lot with pheasant here in the state, not as much as other states. Ohio, we want more, but they really do provide as much access and everything that they can for what they're given to be able to do great for us. So if that is something that interests you guys, please go to the website below in the bio. You guys can donate or you can be a part of the efforts. And also on the Field of Food front, August 21st, we will be releasing our Season 5 hunt videos. Those will be from the season of last year, 2024, starting mid-October. There's some great episodes in there. Last podcast episode, last Table Talk, we highlighted a little tease for Old Whitey. This one...
We're never amigos.
We found Clint Eastwood in the woods. It was a crazy day.
This one, we're going to tease you on something a little bit different. We actually talked about this in a previous podcast episode. Dual 13 points. Which one do I shoot?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be episode number 1, August 21st.
That'd be a good one.
2025. 6:30 p.m.
What's that? Mountain time.
Eastern. Eastern time. It might be 7. I'm not sure. I'll have to look. I'll have to check with the guy who schedules that. Anyways, so
that's you.
so blood trailing. We're going to talk about that a little bit more, and we're going to dive into the topic for this episode, which is summer scouting. And as this episode is going to be released late June, early July, that's when it starts. That's when you need to start scouting. However, just to touch on what we were just talking about.
I like what you were saying about what you were paying attention to past couple years about blood trails.
So what we've learned is the pace of a deer during its immediate point of impact to where it's going to stop is probably going to be the first piece of terrain cover. So a hill, a ditch, a draw, and then after that it's going to start slowing down a little bit. Any kind of obstacle, but mostly terrain is what we've noticed. And then the second thing is that as you're taking on that blood trail, is that blood trail on both sides, if you had a pass through, or one side, because that has a lot to determine possibly of how long you might be trailing for it. If you have 2 holes in something versus 1, it could make a world of difference and could tell you how fast or slow you're able to actually track that animal without bumping it.
Like I was getting into your Halloween buck from a couple years ago. We were tracking it, went up a trail, pretty open trail. At this point, it made it about 150, 200 yards, and I'm just to the point, I'm like, maybe we should back out. But as soon as I thought that, off a really beautiful, wide open trail, he takes a hard right through some thick, nasty stuff. And I'm like, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
And you were confused. You were like, why is that a good sign? And 10 yards past that, there he was laid up. I was like, he had that last little moment. He was like, I got to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And jumped off to the side. But I've also, like you said, after impact, you can judge how a deer is based off of where they go. If they're running through some thick, nasty stuff immediately, or if they're just kind of going away. I've shot deer, slipped it between the ribs, going in and going out, and they take 6-7 hops, stop and look around like nothing happened. They just don't feel it.
Yeah.
But if you snap ribs or hit the shoulder going in or out, they're gonna try to dive in.
Yeah.
Some thick, nasty stuff.
Absolutely.
Tail too. What their tail does is a good indicator for me.
I've never had good luck with that.
I've been following it for like the last 5 years, and if it's not standing up, I'll usually find that I find that deer.
Okay.
If it's wagging or tucked, that's a good sign for me. But if I shot my buck a couple years ago, that big 8-point, went into the neighbor's field. I'm watching him. The whole time his tail was down, and then as soon as he hit the other wood line, head perked up, tail came up, and he walked in. I was like, ooh, that's not good.
Yeah.
Gave him a little bit and just like, I want to go see what the blood looks like where he went in at. Because it's a wide open field, kind of hard for me to judge where he ran. So I walk into that opening and look in, and as I'm looking at the blood, I look up and I see him standing like 50, 60 yards away. All I can see is his head. And I watch him bed down. I'm like, all right, we'll give you a good amount of time here. Went back 3 or 4 hours later. He never bled nor dropped after that.
So, yes, to all of that. I thought you were saying, as far as how far relative to what the tail is doing, you will be tracking that deer, not success rate based off of that stuff. Because I 100%
Based immediate
agree with
impact,
that.
the tail stuck, that's a dead deer, in my opinion.
Yeah.
9 times, I would say 9 times out of 10.
Well, maybe we'll build out a whole episode on trailing. I think that's actually not a bad one. There's a lot of information I think we all have to offer.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into summer scouting. Maybe we'll do like a early October tracking deer. I think that'll be pretty applicable for our audience, and honestly, just a refresher for ourselves.
Yeah.
Or since hopefully DJ and I might have deer down by October 1st. Anyways, all right, jumping into July, summer scouting. Food sources and water. You're probably going to know what's going to be planted if you're hunting around ag, but any water source right now is going to be very applicable for placing trail cameras to know what's in the area.
It's inventory season.
Yes, I know deer will make a big jump. Could be a couple hundred acres, could be a couple of miles, could be whatever between September and October or late August, early September. But having that knowledge now is actually really important because what does stay consistent is doe. So if you're hoping for rut hunting, knowing what the food sources are going to be come November or late October, now's the time to start looking for it.
Yes.
Oaks. We're going to hit the oaks hard on this one. Got to know where the white oaks are. Red oaks drop later. If you're taking your time off work for mid-October, late October, early November, you need to know what the oaks are doing. That is the number one thing. White oaks are going to be your ticket for October, early November success.
I agree.
So I think we talked about that last year. It's like how my spot where I had corn, like they just really weren't interested in it.
We had
and
a bumper crop last year, acorns.
Yeah.
that's
Crazy
what we
amount.
were
It's
talking about is
everywhere.
like how much acorns we had. And then we kind of talked about how there's certain seasons where like the acorns there's a ton and then some there's not. Well, the year prior to that, like where they went to the corn a lot, there wasn't a lot of acorns.
From what Dad has told me, and I trust Dad's opinion when it comes to anything tree related.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Thanks, Davey.
Every 3 years, you'll get a really good crop of acorns, and then you have one really good year, and you have 2 bad to subpar years, and then 1 really good year.
I like those bad to subpar years.
I love them bad subpar years.
That's best hunting, which
Because you've seen our place, it's set up for food plots. We're banking on those food plots because there's not a lot of oaks around. So like we're trying to be a food source outside of the corn or soybeans that they want. But when the acorns drop, our food plots aren't as appealing because they can probably bed and walk a very short distance to food,
yeah.
and a lot of it. Last year, tough deer hunting, phenomenal squirrel.
Great
yeah.
squirrel year.
Killed it squirrel season.
Great squirrel year.
Squirrel season was good.
But my palate needed that venison. No, can't live off of squirrels.
No, so when it's a bad oak year, that means you're going to have very selective areas, and think of it as going downtown with your buddies to the bars. Like there's going to be girls everywhere, but if it's a Wednesday night and there's only a couple bars open, you really know where to go. So that's why I like the bad oak years.
I love the bad oak years.
Yeah, it's called the quote unquote feed treat, which is so true. There's a couple of properties that I've hunted in the past, lucky enough to still have permission on those properties, that they only have a couple of white oaks on them, and every now and then, I guess they shift. So like this oak on this ridge will drop acorns 1 year, and then a couple of years later or the next year, this one's dropping. It's an adjustment you have to make year to year, but you know what they're going to be doing.
But if you do your
based off
summer
of it.
scouting, you have it figured out
Yeah.
before season's even close.
Yeah, always have your binos when you're scouting, because it's hard to really pick out, on a 60-foot oak tree what the acorns are going to start looking like. But if you have binos on you, lay down on the ground, toss the knockers up, and just stare up in that tree. And that's going to give you a good idea if you guys are small game hunters to get into squirrel stuff, because man, I love going out for early season squirrel and having that knowledge prior to this is probably going to get blown out by other hunters if it's public. I'm going to hunt this for squirrel first.
Yeah.
Which we did that on that piece down.
We hunted a couple public spots for squirrels.
Oh, we slammed them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a good year.
It was a great year.
Yeah.
But no, like you asked me the other day, like, hey, when should I start scouting? Like, in theory, now it was a good time to start.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's no stopping. You're always thinking, watching.
I start summer scouting the moment the fishing gets bad, and since the fishing has been bad for me this year, I've already been scouting twice.
Yeah. We've had cameras out for about, I want to say, about a month now, month and a half.
Yeah.
Just pulled them today for the first time in 2 weeks. Good pull.
Good pull.
A lot of bucks.
You sent me a photo.
We
Looking
got
good.
We got it. A few good does with yearlings running around. A few does with their last year still hanging around them.
Interesting.
And then 2 or 3 good bachelor groups of bucks. We got one that's like a 5-pack, 4 or 5 in it, and another 3-pack. And then that one I sent you, he's loner.
So
He's a lone wolf.
with what you're finding now, how much weight are you putting into the possibility of early season?
From what we
Buck
found from seasons past is the mature bucks that we get in the summer, probably won't see those guys again until come late October, early November.
Right.
Yeah. The smaller bucks, 1.5, 2.5-year-old bucks, chance you're going to see those guys up until late October, early November. And then those bucks will disappear, and you'll get a whole new herd, a whole new group of different smaller, younger deer.
Yeah.
And bucks usually right around the 20th of October, we'll start getting pictures like, man, we've never seen that one before.
Yeah.
And then we'll also start getting like, hey, we've seen that guy, but we haven't seen him since July or August. He's back. One of those types of deals. We don't hold a lot of the buck population, the same buck population year round. It's just like a constant revolving door.
Just a pattern shift.
Big pattern shifts.
But it is the same pattern shift.
It is.
Yeah.
I can kind of time it to when, like, well, if it's the same deer from last year, he disappeared late August, but he showed back up right around the end of October. And usually is when sometime within that last 7 to 10 days of October, they will show back up.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, and then a lot of them disappear again after the rut's over. Then you'll get them on camera again late season.
All right. So where you're placing your cameras for this time of year?
Right now, we have them on the food plots right now, because we want to see, mainly not to try to see the inventory of what deer are coming in. We want to see if they like the food, what's planted there.
Yeah.
So like we got 2 food plots they absolutely love. Like there's a lot of grazing going on. They're hanging out. They're coming in morning, noon, and night, all day, all night long. One food plot, not so great right now. But historically, that food plot hasn't picked up in activity until mid-October anyway.
Yeah.
So we're not too worried. The other 2, the one's brand new. We just planted it this year. But the other one, that was the original food plot. And it gets torn up all year long. They love it.
Gotcha. So for guys who are hunting public or new pieces that they have permission on, which is hard to come by, good job if you got one.
Yeah.
This time of year, I'd be placing a lot of cameras on north-facing hillsides, down at the bottom where it's cooler. East side, definitely not west side where the sun's exposing that hillside a lot longer where it's warmer. I think deer will wrap up in there in the evenings, very late evenings, but more oftentimes after dark if there's a food source in there. So spend more time north and east on hillsides, especially here in Northeast Ohio or any place where that's hilly.
Right. And like you said earlier too about water,
Yeah.
especially early season.
Water is the big one. If you have the opportunity to put a watering source, like a hidey hole in the middle of the woods, you take out a big, 50-gallon cow trough, dig a hole, put water in there the best you can, and the rainwater just to refill it. Put a camera on that. You'll be amazed of the inventory, not only of deer, but just general wildlife that you're going to get.
Everything needs water.
Yeah.
You will get everything on that camera.
Yeah.
I have one spot that I hunt that is on the bend in a canal, and it's the lowest part. They cross it and they drink from it. So early season, that spot's a slammer.
Yeah.
And it's really good come the rut too, because it's kind of like the perfect scenario. You have good cover, water, food right across the other side as an ag field. And it works great for me because the water is pulling my thermals down into it and pulling them away. The wind is usually perfect from where the deer bed to come down there. It's a slammer spot. But like early season, I see a lot of deer coming up to that bend to get water or to cross into the ag.
Yeah.
And just so happens that bend is 25 yards from my tree stand.
And you're like, oh, hello. What are you doing over there?
Yeah.
I'm right by that as well. I'm in a little farther up the hill, but I'm not too far from that spot. That's how that one deer that you'd shot at pushed the rest of them right out to me.
Are you guys concerned about scent this time of year scouting, or?
I like to do, if I'm doing any kind of heavy scouting or heavy work, I try to time it right before rain.
Yeah.
Like at least 24 hours. If I can do it, if I know it's going to rain at 5 p.m., I will try to be out there and be out of there by 4. Then that rain comes, washes the scent away.
Pussy. Just get wet.
Well, I can't. Shit melts in water.
I love scouting in rain. I think it is
very beneficial.
It's
yeah.
good for noise cover. It's good for scent cover.
But I also like scouting after a good rain.
Yeah, because they're up and moving.
Yep, they're up and moving. The ground is soft. You can really see those fresh tracks in the summertime.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah.
All right, good talk.
No, I'm a big fan of taking those mornings, especially after a rain.
Yeah.
To where you can get in there, move around quietly, dedicate a couple hours, and
I have a spot I'm going to check out here in the next couple weeks. I'm going to wait for a good rain to come through when I have time.
There was a spot we were planning on hunting just that first week of opener on public, and this was a couple of years back. As we were going down there, we like to drive down there. Like if we're going to hunt it in the morning, we're driving down in the morning. We want to see what the activity's like on the roadside, but not only where we're going to hunt, on the private around it as well. And we wound up bumping into a behemoth of a buck. He was everything of 175.
Wow.
But we weren't the only ones looking at him, because there was a couple cars that we would see on a regular basis, and they weren't people going to work. They were going back and forth like we were. And I'm like, they're trying to do the same thing we are. They're going to try and knock on doors. So we knocked on a couple doors, and we even got one. Oh, you saw him. And I was like, crap. Yes, we did.
Hunting the big buck is harder than it used to be.
Yep. But, I appreciate the chase, and my threshold for success on I can't say that. My threshold for excitement now is probably 135, 140.
Yeah.
It used to be 110. It's 135, 140, which is very achievable here where we hunt.
Yes.
I would love to smack a 160, 170 plus. It's not something that I'm going to dedicate a season to. If it happens, it happens.
Right. See, I know I've said it numerous times on here. I could give a rat's ass about shooting a buck.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
I know.
I'll shoot 6 does and call it a season.
I need that in quotes at this point. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Kyle Thompson.
I'm hungry.
So
I shoot 50 squirrels, 6 does. My freezer's good.
2 pigs.
2 pigs.
Oh, we haven't talked about our pig hunt yet. Shoot.
Yeah. Do you call it a hunt?
Well, all right. So
You know what I mean?
okay, is Josh still fucking alive?
We've got one email from this man, and it said, "How many is coming?"
Yeah, I feel like that wasn't Josh. I feel like that.